Hey Frederick Douglass Elementary School, it's Mrs. Shoupard, and did you know that Sunday is Mother's Day? But don't worry, I have a project that you can do today that will be a perfect gift for your mom. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first thing I want you to do is get a piece of white paper, and this is going to be the gift portion of your Mother's Day gift. So make sure that you keep it nice and neat and don't splatter any paint on it. You're going to first get a larger size brush. It doesn't have to be super huge, and if you only have small brushes at home, it's not a big deal, but painting on your hand is going to be easier with a larger size brush. You're going to need some green paint and squirt that into something. I have this painter's palette, but you can squirt it onto anything like even just a scrap piece of paper. Squirt some green paint out, and then you're going to paint your hand. This project is perfect because moms love to have a record of their kids' hands and how big they were at certain ages. And also, kids love to paint their hands. So, it's the best of both worlds, really. What a great gift. Ooh, I'm starting to look like the Hulk. Okay, now while you're painting your hand, just make sure you're not getting any paint splattered onto your white paper. You want to make sure that stays nice and clean until we're ready to put our handprint on it. All right, get all the way out to the edges around your hand, all the way out to the edges of all your fingers. And now that I have my Hulk hand, I think I'm ready to make a handprint. Okay, so when you do your handprint, you're gonna go all the way close to the top of your paper, not down towards the bottom, okay? So leave a little bit of room at the top, but pretty much all the way up to the top. And then go ahead and make your green handprint. Woo, Hulk hand. Okay, now go wash your hands. Okay, you better have clean hands now. So no more Hulk hands. All right, the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna turn our handprint into some flowers because moms love flowers. So each one of these green fingers is going to become a flower stem, and we're going to put colorful flowers at the top of each finger, which will become each flower. Now, you're probably going to want to choose a color paint that your mom likes. So if your favorite color is pink, but your mom's favorite color is blue, you better choose blue because that's your mom's favorite color. Don't pick your favorite color. That's selfish. Okay, so my mom's favorite color is blue, so I have some pretty blue paint, and she also likes yellow, so I'm going to use blue and yellow. So if your mom has a couple of different favorite colors, you could do more than one color for your flowers. So go ahead and squirt out some of the colors that you're going to be using for your flowers, and you can use as many colors as you want. I'm just going to use 2. I'm going to use her second favorite color for the inside of the flowers. You know, that little center part, like where the pollen is in the inside. And I'm going to do little yellow circles, or it actually doesn't have to be an exact circle. And I'm just going to paint those at the top of each of the stems. Okay, and then I'm going to rinse my brush. And now I'm going to use the blue paint, and I'm going to paint some more circles that are going to go around that yellow dot in the middle, and those are going to be like the petals. So they can be circles, or they could just be any kind of shape that is kind of like a flower petal shape. So I'm going to show you a couple of different choices that you could do. If you don't like the circles like I did here, then you could do a petal that is a little bit longer. That's kind of more like an oval. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, there you go. All right, so down here we have the circles, and then up here you can do more of kind of like an oval shape if you like those kind of flower petals. And you're just going to keep on painting the flower petals the whole way around each of your dots that you made at the top of each stem, or at the top of each finger, which is now a flower stem. Okay, the next thing I want to do before I set my painting to the side so that it can dry is I want to kind of get an idea of how big I want my flower pot to be, and I'm going to be using a piece of blue paper today for my flower pot, and that's not necessarily because my mom's favorite color is blue, although that kind of makes sense, but it's because blue is the only colored paper I have in my house. Who would have thought the art teacher would be quarantined with no colored paper except for one? So, looks like maybe I should be ordering some construction paper. But anyway, what you want to do is get another piece of paper that is a different color than white, okay? So white is going to be your background color, but you want to get another color of paper, and it doesn't matter what color. That's going to be the color of paper that you use for your flower pot. Now, the other thing is, if you don't have any colored paper at your house either, you could use paint. You could take another piece of paper, don't paint it on this piece of paper, and get a separate piece of paper and paint that piece of paper the color that you want for your flower pot, and then wait for that to dry, and then you could use that to cut out the shape of the flower pot. So what you're going to do with that second piece of paper is you're going to kind of hold it up to your painting. Don't lay it down on top of your painting because it's still wet, but kind of line it up a little bit so you can see how big you want your flower pot to be and how far up do you want to glue the flower pot, okay? So you're going to be covering over this bottom part of your hand because we don't need that, you don't need like your bottom palm part for your flowers. You just need the stems, right? So I'm going to line it up and probably have my pot starting right about here. I also know that I'm gonna need to make a mark of how wide I want the flower pot to be. So I kind of want the flower pot to maybe start right here and end right here. That's how wide I want my flower pot to be. The other thing I want to do is I want to see how much room I have all the way down to the bottom of my paper. So here's the bottom of my paper. Do I want my flower pot to go all the way from here all the way down? Maybe. So let's just make a little mark. This is how far up I want it to be. Yep, right about there. And this is the bottom of the paper. So I'll make a mark right there, and you can even write bottom if you want to. And then what I'm going to kind of do is get an idea of what shape I want for my flower pot and how far do I want it to come down. So I probably want it to come down this way and down this way and maybe end right about here. So I'm just using my pencil and very lightly just kind of making a little line there so I have a guide for how big I want my flower pot to be, so I can cut that out while this paper is drying. Okay, on my blue piece of paper, I'm now gonna draw the finalized shape that I want for my flower pot, because right now you probably can't even see the lines because I drew them so lightly. So this is where I wanted my flower pot to be at the top. So I'm going to have two lines that are slightly diagonal. They're not gonna be straight up and down. They're gonna be a little bit diagonal. So bring those in a little tiny bit, maybe to there, and then you're going to go straight across. Okay, that's that top part of the flower pot, and then we're going to continue a diagonal line that's going to come down to the line where I had very lightly drawn. Right here was kind of where I wanted my flower pot to stop, and then I'm going to have another diagonal line that's going to come down on this side, and then I'm going to come straight across. Connect those two lines together. Okay, that is the shape of my flower pot. Now what we want to do is we want to write our mom a poem. Moms love poems, okay? So mothers are going to appreciate a poem from their child even more if you write it yourself. So I would suggest trying to come up with a poem that you wrote yourself, but you can copy mine. I won't tell anyone. You can copy mine and give it to your mom, and I'm sure she will love it just as much. Okay? So on a scrap piece of paper, write down what your poem's gonna be. Maybe even practice writing it a couple of times so that your handwriting gets a little bit nicer. And then go ahead and get a pen, because I think when you write on your flower pot, with a pen, it's going to be nicer. Now, if you don't have a pen available, that's going to be fine. Just go ahead and get a pencil. And even a pencil might be a good idea for people that make a lot of mistakes. And you can write your poem with a pencil if you're one of those people that makes mistakes a lot with a pen, because a pen does not erase. All right, let's go ahead and write our poem for our mom. Okay, at the top, you want to write mommy with a comma because you're giving it to your mommy. And the first line is, I've left some little fingerprints. And try to get that to fit on one line. I had to get my printing a little bit smaller over here on the end because I want to make sure try to fit it all in one line, because that's the first line of the poem. The next line is, on just about every wall. On just about every wall. The next line is, on the furniture, doors, and windows. The next line is, I've really marked them all. The next line is, here are some that won't rub off. Ooh, almost just ran out of room right there. The last line, or the next line is, to remember when I was small, because I'll love you forever. And these last two lines, kind of write them a little bit bigger if you have room. So, I'll love you forever. And the last line is, even when I'm big and tall. Alright, so that is the poems. What I'm going to do is try to zoom this in as best as I can so that you can pause the video and copy it down if you're going to be using mine for your Mother's Day gift. Okay, the next thing you can do if you want to, you don't have to, but moms love hearts. They do. So you can take some markers or some pens and you can draw some hearts around your poem, especially if you have some like space down here at the bottom. I'm gonna use pink and purple just because those are kind of like girl colors, but you can use whatever colors you want. And I'm gonna do a little color pattern here. I'm gonna do pink, purple, pink, purple, and then I think I have room for one more pink. And if you want to, you can color on the inside of your hearts, and you can put little hearts up by mommy's name. And you can put teeny tiny little hearts down at the bottom of your flower pot. However you want to do it, just kind of decorate that flower pot a little bit so it doesn't just have the words on it, so it's a little bit cuter. Okay, next thing you want to do is get a pair of scissors and cut out your flower pot. Try to stay on the lines as closely as you can, but you don't need to cut the line that we drew here. That's going to stay connected because that's the top of your flower pot, so don't cut that line. You're going to stay on the outside of the flower pot. Okay, I was running out of room when I was writing my letters over here, so I had to kind of cut out around that, and that is totally fine. But what I do want to do is I want to take my pencil now and I want to erase this line over here with the pencil because I don't like that you can see the pencil lines. So if you have pencil lines that are still showing after you do your cutting, you can take an eraser and erase those away. Except I would keep this one. You don't have to erase that one. You can if you want to, if you like it better that way. Okay, the next thing you want to do is get your flower paper back out and get your glue stick and flip over your flower pot to the back. And you're going to make sure that you get glue all the way around the outside of the flower pot because you want to make sure that it's going to stay sticking. So if you just put the glue in the middle and then plop it on there, it's not going to stay too well. I know a lot of you try to glue like that when you're in my classroom and you know it doesn't work, and I always tell you to put more glue. Alright, so put the glue all the way around the outside of the flower pot, just like I show you when we're in school, and then if you want to, you can put some in the middle. But the most important place to put the glue is where? Around the outside. Thank you. Okay, go ahead and line up your flower pot at the bottom of where the flower stems are, or the bottom of where your fingers and your thumb was. Okay, make sure you use your finger and slide it along. Make sure that it's gonna stick because this is something that your mom is gonna wanna keep forever. Trust me, she's gonna wanna keep it because it's gonna be so cute. Okay, the last thing that you're gonna wanna do is get a pen, a pencil, a marker, doesn't really matter, but you're gonna need to sign this, especially if you have brothers and sisters, because your mom needs to know who it's from. You can't just give this to her because she might think that it's from your sister. Then your sister's gonna get all the credit, and then your mom's gonna think you're a jerk and you didn't get her anything, okay? So you need to make sure you sign your name. So I'm gonna put with love, Nicole, because Nicole is Mrs. Choupard's first name. And then moms always want to know how old you were when you did the handprint, okay? So they're gonna wanna know either how old you were or what year it was. So I'm just gonna put 2020 on mine. But if you wanna put 10 years old or however old you are, you can write that down too, because moms love to keep track of how big your hand was and what year it was or how old you were when you did that size handprint. Okay, that's it. I think your Mother's Day gift is complete. So put this in a safe place until Sunday and make sure that your mom gets this gift on Sunday. And if you get a chance, take a picture of your flower project and upload that onto Schoology. Remember, we're having an art show. It's going to be a virtual art show, but any of the art that you put onto Schoology, I'm going to be including in the art show. So I would love to have some awesome artwork and some beautiful Mother's Day gifts to include in the art show. So make sure you take a picture of your gift that you're giving to your mom and upload that onto Schoology. And we'll see you next time.